boxing on the edge.
Would Chris be the kind of guy you'd have as a friend?
100% not. I still dislike him very much, and I'd probably want to fight him on the road rather than the ring.
The fans are going to be watching, the world is going to be watching. And yeah, I mean, if your Twitter game's as strong as your ring game, then I'm sure you have no issues, but we both know what's coming. You're getting banged out clean. So be prepared, my friend.
Okay, welcome back to Boxing on the Edge. Another fight this weekend. This fight is in the UK. I made a video yesterday about the fight this Saturday too, the Thurman Barrios fight. I'll leave that in the description box or at the end of the video as well. But this week's fight Saturday is in the UK between Chris Eubank and Liam Williams. Let's talk about it. Chris Eubank Jr. faces Liam the Machine Williams in a domestic dust-up in the UK. This fight is in Cardiff, 12-round middleweight bout, and it should be absolute fireworks, to be honest. Both guys don't like each other. Both guys are coming to put a hurting on each other, and it should be entertaining for sure. Yes, so okay, Chris Eubank Jr. faces off against Liam Williams in an all-domestic middleweight clash. Great fight, dangerous fight for both guys, really. But you know, this is definitely got an all-action affair written over it if things go in a certain direction. But I'm going to talk about the fighters first, and then I'm going to talk in the fight plan. We'll get into that in the later part of the video. I'll leave the timeline right below. So yeah, good fight in terms of what does it mean. You know, Chris Eubank Jr. is looking for that world title shot. Certainly puts him in that bracket if should he be victorious. Liam Williams, I'm assuming, is also looking for a world title shot, to be honest. I mean, he just lost a world title shot against Andrade, so beating Chris Eubank Jr. will put him back in the frame to some degree. I'm not exactly sure how the rankings work. I don't really get too involved with that, but you know, if you're winning and you're beating good opposition, you know, you'll find yourself somewhere around there. So good luck to both of them. Let's start with Chris Eubank Jr. Phenomenal athlete, phenomenal specimen, you know, phenomenal fighter, really, in terms of certain things he does. You know, in terms of he certainly lacks a bit of boxing ability, but what he does really well, wins fights, you know, and that's unbelievably disciplined. And he has a great chin, which always helps, especially if you're aggressive. Very tenacious, you know, he's a hard, determined man, and that is a huge asset in boxing. Now, he's just obviously well documented switch trainers recently, or in the last year or two maybe, with Roy Jones Jr. And interesting move actually, because he was always known for not listening to his corner, even his dad and any other trainer he had, and that was always hurting his game at the top level. You know, fights like George Groves, where you need that extra 5-10% to have a game plan and execute it, you know, even before the fight and during it. And not to say that had he had a good coach and he listened, he would have been able to implement those things, but that was always missing. And the only person, or there's a few people that could come in and he could listen to, are people that are basically all-time greats, in my opinion, because he needs to be looking up to somebody to be able to take their advice. I could be wrong, but I just think he's just the type of person that is not impressed by too many people, and he needs a GOAT in there, and Roy Jones Jr. is that. And hopefully he can bring something to the table. We've already seen he's tried to, you know, recreate a little flash here and there of Roy Jones Jr. That in itself I don't think is a great idea. What I do think is good is that he can just listen to some instructions and some extra things in the corner, and obviously a game plan previous. But when you're talking about trying to imitate athletic ability that we haven't seen in 50 years or only him, it's like you don't want to try to imitate something that you can't even do. So that's got to be something I would rein in a little bit. Don't try to be Roy Jones Jr. you know, because you can't. But it's nice to see him listening to somebody, and that could give him the extra few percent he needs, because that was always missing in my opinion anyway. But great fighter. I've always enjoyed his fights, always action-packed, and he always puts his heart on the line, and I respect that. So on to Liam Williams. Now, another tenacious, hard man. This is what makes this fight so interesting and so fascinating. Is like these guys don't back down, both aggressive and both extremely hard. I say they haven't been stopped. Liam Williams hasn't really. The first fight with Liam Smith was just that was a blatant headbutt from Liam Smith. So they fought that again, but that's the only blemish in terms of a stoppage on his record. So that's not really a stoppage. So these guys are ready for war, and they're going to put it on the line come Saturday. So, you know, like Liam Williams, he's just himself changed trainers. He's now with Adam Booth, and that is, I've heard him say this in an interview, certainly a move, you know, to get some inside scoop on Chris Eubank Jr. because Eubank Jr. was with Adam Booth for a short while, as he was with other trainers, which I don't think actually really helped him from jumping from trainer to trainer and not really taking anything on board and then moving on. You know, that could be a hindrance actually. But Liam Williams is with Adam Booth, and that will be interesting because Booth has always had, you know, the tactical approach and a bit of a genius. Perhaps not as much of late, but like he was known for great tactics, and he's going to need that because I think tactically will be a very interesting part to play in this fight specifically, and sticking to the tactics and being disciplined, which moves me on to the fight plan and the breakdown right now. So, I mean, this fight could go a few ways, you know, like when it first got made, and I just watched the Andrade fight, I was like, wow, it's just going to be fireworks, and Williams is probably going to get lit up. And I'm like, you know, I remembered he doesn't always fight full on head on like that. He's got a bit of a jab and he can box a little bit, and I think he's probably going to have to do a little bit of both. I think if he comes walking in and pressuring Andrade the way he did in that fight, if he does that against Eubank, I think Eubank is going to get stopped, because that is a recipe for disaster when you're walking in to somebody that just throws a barrage of uppercuts and hooks and holds his ground and it sits down on his punches and wants to take you out more. And Williams can fight up close, but he's nothing. His punches aren't as crisp and as hard and as short and as powerful up close. He's got some tricks and he's a little dirty with it, and he's, you know, decent up close, but not anywhere near as explosive, and that is playing into Eubank's hands. So I think Williams needs to box a little bit more, if I'm honest, because Eubank, his jab, so what Williams has to take away what Eubank is good at, and what he's good at is someone coming towards him and, you know, trading and or putting yourself in his area. His Eubank doesn't really have a very good jab unless you're in his area, then he can flash it off if you're in his range. But if he needs to come and find you, his jab is somewhat obsolete. He doesn't really know how to use it to set up punches, and he doesn't really know how to use his footwork with the jab, not well anyway. But Liam Williams does, and he's gonna have to do that, I think, to have some sort of a chance, and maybe sort of take the tempo down a little bit and then fight in spurts if he needs to, because he's such a brave man. It's inevitable they're going to get in exchanges at some point, you know, and that's when it'll favor Eubank, I think. But I'm sure Adam Booth is going to try to write up a game plan, but you know, it's up to Williams to stick to it and be disciplined, and that is not easy when you're dealing with a bit of animosity between the two of them as well. That can always play a part when you're up close and you're trying to exchange with somebody. It's like trying to argue with someone. If you're arguing with somebody, for you to just stop arguing, it's the same in boxing. Like, you just want to get stuck in as well. It's very hard to pull yourself away from that kind of energy. So what Williams has to do, I think, be disciplined, stay on his jab, use some unorthodox combinations, which he's actually quite good at. You know, the 1-2, then a jab, catch Eubank a little bit off guard, get creative with those punches, stay disciplined, stay behind your jab, and if you need to get, you know, up close and be dirty, which he's already alluded he was going to do, Williams, to Eubank, then so be it. But you got to take away what's best for Eubank, and that is, don't get up close and exchange thunderous punches with him, because you'll end up second best. You know, like Eubank, what does he have to do? Well, he's trying to box a little bit more, and he's trying to be a bit more like Roy Jones Jr. So like, if you let him do that a bit, you know, Williams could sneak a few rounds in for sure. I think Eubank would have to chase the fight if Williams isn't going to be there for him, which isn't in his best, not in his best interest, but he's not great at doing that. You know, he tends to fight far better when someone's coming at him, and so it will be interesting if Eubank is going to have to chase the fight and how he does that. Can he use his jab to get in there to set off his combinations, or is Williams going to do that for him? Fascinating, really. When I first saw this matchup and I watched, you know, a couple of the Williams fights, I was thinking he's going to get stopped in like round 6 or 7 because he's going to come in aggressive. But with the Adam Booth fix and adjustment, I think, you know, I think they're going to be more disciplined than I perhaps thought, and I think he's going to, you know, fight a more patient, disciplined fight, as I mentioned, using the jab, and then if he needs to get in there and get dirty and try to bully him a little bit, I think he's going to have to do that in spots, but that's very dangerous when you start doing that. And I do think at some point, Chris Eubank Jr. is going to get to Williams before the 12th round. I think at first I thought it was going to be maybe in the middle, but I'm thinking a late stoppage, maybe like between 9 and 11. I just don't think Williams is going to be able to sustain a disciplined fight, or when they do get exchanges, he's going to come off second best, I think. And I think Eubank is looking to make a statement, as he said, as he always wants to, really. And Williams at times will be tailor-made for him. So I think Eubank is going to break him down. Not break him down, but like, it'll be an exchange where something will just go boom, and then the fight will, maybe not one punch, but like the Yildirim one, you know, Yildirim was there and then he just started getting clipped with hooks and uppercuts. It might be an uppercut and then a hook, because Williams' high guard tends to stay in one place. Uppercuts get through the middle, and then around the side you can, you know, throw a hook in there. But I think it'll be a good fight, be an intriguing fight nonetheless, and hopefully it'll be a very exciting fight. I'm looking forward to it. It's in the UK, fights in Cardiff, 12-round domestic dust-up between two guys that really don't like each other. You know, what more could you want? Hopefully they both come out safe and healthy, and hopefully us fans get a really good fight, because, you know, I can't wait for it. So I hope you enjoy it too. If you have any comments about the fight, let me know. Shoot it in the comments section. See what you think. Is Williams going to do more than what I think he's going to do? Is Eubank, you know, is he gonna have trouble finding him? Is he gonna have trouble, you know, winning the exchanges? What do you think? Leave a comment in the comment section, and if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and liking the video if you liked it. All right, boxing on the edge. Have a great week.